All right, we're here with Tim Berendes from SDR Motorsports. Before we kick this thing off, going to add it to a few groups on the computer. I'm down here, I guess up here, over here in Corona.
Over here?
Yeah. Tim just finished giving me the shop tour.
Doesn't take very long.
Come on, refresh. We're going to add it to a few groups and then we'll kick this thing off. Got a kind of a refresher show with Tim today. Tim was on, I think I said episode 27 or 29 a little bit back. And you're my last show of 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And we kind of talked about what was going on over at SDR, and now we're going to talk about what continues to go on, because there's been 2 really cool machines that have come out since then. So.
This is my first Facebook Live, so pardon the interruptions. I'm still trying to figure out all the technology. So is this?
Yep, this is, but this is delayed.
Okay.
So this is live. This is delayed.
Got it.
If you're in here, I can't see the viewers right now, but comment so we know you're in here. Give us a thumbs up or a shreddy sign, one of these. So
let us know that you're with us. So yeah, there's a lot of new machines coming out. Like the first one, obviously the Turbo S, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's pretty excited about that. A lot of the impressions that I think people had about the Turbo S is, it's just Polaris trying to make a long travel razor. And it's, once you really get into it and start looking at it, it's not just a 72-inch wide razor. They changed a ton of chassis things, basically took a lot of the stuff that we've all been kind of nitpicking for the last 3-4 years, and said, okay, let's just fix all this stuff, right? And it really makes for a good machine. The dynamic suspension works really well. For a stock car, right, we took, when we went and did the test drive out in Prim, they didn't baby us, right? It wasn't like, okay, just follow right here and, stay behind everybody. And, it wasn't like all like that. It was like, hey, look, let the guy in front of you go for a while, right? And then take off and just mash it, right? And we did, right? We punished those poor cars for the whole day. And I came away pretty impressed, especially for, what I guess you could say is kind of a refresh of the same platform, same motor, same basic stuff, but completely new front diff, obviously wider suspension, and a lot of improvements. And the Can-Am is still an amazing car, but it has its weaknesses too. So it definitely leveled that playing field. So
now what's you might not be able to tell. You might be able to tell. What's the talk of a 4-seater in the Turbo S?
Contrary to popular belief, I don't know. I could be guessing half the time, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, our relationship with guys like Joey at UTV Underground helps give us some insight. But most of that stuff's under embargo, so he couldn't say anything.
Yeah.
If he knew and if he wanted to. So we usually find out right around the same time everybody else does. But it would make sense that a 4-seater would be forthcoming, right? It would make sense that they would take that same technology and put it into the 4-seater. And kind of fill out the line. The 4-seater sells really well, so it would make sense for them to do that. The question is when. So that's the question yet to be answered.
So I don't want to be done talking about the Turbo S, but we got the elephant in the room, the RS1.
There's an elephant in here?
I'm looking out the window. There's the RS1 outside.
RS1.
You guys have one of the coolest RS1s out there,
right.
I think. You just went out with UTV Guide. Did a shoot in Glamis.
Yep.
What was it like? What's that machine like?
The RS1 is actually really cool. We got pretty lucky. The dealership Concord Polaris up in Concord, they got one in. He called me and said, hey, these things are going to be here tomorrow. So we were able to jump on it, buy it. Yes, we still buy our own cars. And got it here. And the timing just worked out good, so we could kind of throw the whole team at it and turn a build around on it really quick. So we took it out to Glamis, drove it. It's a fun car. It's not amazing. It's not, oh my gosh, this thing is so radically incredible. But for what it is, for what its intended purpose is, it's very good. The thing I like about it is you can see both left and right front tires, so you can be real precise with where you place the car, especially transitions, dunes, stuff like that. It's a little shorter than a regular RZR, right?
Yeah.
But it's a little underpowered for Glamis, right? But for the intended car, which is just kind of a shreddable little single-seater, it definitely hits the mark.
So what is the market for the RS1? Is it just to be a single-seater, or was Polaris trying to push it to short course, or?
I think that there's definitely some race, or racing type stuff that Polaris is, intending for it to do. But really it's just kind of, it's for that guy who, like, I don't know about you, but, my wife, she don't want to ride with me. Right?
My wife wants to drive.
Yeah, she'd rather drive, right? So it's really a great platform for, a guy that doesn't want to go out and spend, $60,000 on buying two-seater turbos to buy two of them, right, for the price of one two-seat turbo and be able to go out there and have a good time. So, because I can tell you, they're definitely more fun in pairs. So.
So let's read a few of these comments. So Daniel Adams says RS1 needs a turbo.
Well, everything needs a turbo. Everything needs more power, that's for sure. I don't think we're going to see it in the RS1. The way that where they shorten the chassis is basically behind the driver compartment in front of the engine, which on the regular turbo platform is where the turbo goes, front of the engine. So there's no room to put it there. So I'm sure the aftermarket, like I know Packard's already doing something. I'm sure K&T, when they get their hands on one, are going to do something that's ludicrous. But so aftermarket's going to be the only way to go for a turbo. But honestly, for the platform and the chassis, it really, you could always use more power, but it didn't really need more power.
Yeah.
We were able to mob through the dunes and have a blast with it. In the hard pack, the thing, it smokes the tires everywhere you go. So, a turbo would be nice, but it's still a really fun car the way it is.
So let's go back. Lauren says, "What's up, Tim?" Lauren Moreau.
What's up, Lauren?
What's up, buddy? Daniel Adams said Evo.
Probably meaning Evo Power Sports, right?
Yeah.
They have a tune for it. I think you get about 6 or 7 horsepower. We're going to be running that same tune on our car. We just need to have like 10 minutes where it's not going somewhere or doing something, and so we can get the ECU out to get it to the guys at Combustion to throw a flash in it for us.
Yeah.
We'll do some clutch tuning, things like that. Like I said, it works good the way that it is. So. Laurel, the road dog, right?
Mad Dog Media.
Mad Dog.
Lauren's a good guy. So, Lauren's kind of started tuning into these, and everyone in this industry knows Lauren.
Right.
If you don't know Lauren, you're missing out.
Right. He's good times. He's OG for sure.
Yep.
So, and then I got to give a shout out to my boy SoCal 5150 Marcelo. Right. So there's your shout out. His car's down here. We're pimping it out right now, getting it ready for this weekend. Hopefully getting it ready for this weekend, right? So we're just we're waiting for Joey D to come by and have a seat in it while it's here, molest it a little bit, since that's what Marcelo always does to his cars. So.
Well, what's kind of funny with Tim is Tim's kind of been we haven't had Joey on the show, obviously. I don't want you to think that I didn't take your recommendation on Joey.
Right.
Me and Joey talked at I think you might have been there at the Mint 400, and I said, look, man, I know you're busy.
Right.
I'm busy.
Right.
Like, when it comes together, when we get a Joey D Dirty Dooner show, when it comes together, it'll come together and it'll be badass.
Oh yeah, that'd be epic. So Joey, I'm calling you out. You got to come do the Dirty Dooner show. Right, get it together. I know he's like sideways right now for the UTV World Championships because that's 2 weeks from now. So I talked to him over the weekend and he's just like, dude, I don't even want to think about the next 2 weeks with how crazy he's going to be. So, but
that's what I love about Joey is Joey when he's busy, he'll admit that he's busy. He puts his head down still, but he's like, yeah, dude, I can't even think about anything else.
Exactly.
I tell my wife that. I tell my kids that. Hey, just let me think about this,
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. So, but some of these other ones, 1 Turbo S or 2 RS1s, man, that's a tough call. Really, that kind of depends on, if you can, if 2 seats works, the Turbo S obviously is a better car.
Yeah.
72 inches wide, way more power. For the dunes, that's going to be the better choice. But if you find yourself riding by yourself all the time, and the person that would normally ride with you isn't going just because they don't really want to ride with you.
Yeah.
Then the two RS1s is a good choice, is a good alternative, because you're going to spend less on two RS1s than you are on one Turbo S. If you can buy it at the right deal, which Concord Polaris will get you the right deal.
So Lauren said just drove an RS1, great fun platform, nailed the left foot braking too, loved it. Let's talk about that left foot braking.
Yes.
Are you a 1 foot driver or 2 foot driver?
I tried both, right, in the RS1, and what I like about it is when you do that in the regular car, right, it throws all kinds of codes, right, and eventually it'll chop the throttle on you. Whereas in the RS1 you can do that. So once you get used to actually being able to drive that way, it's pretty cool. I'm probably more by habit a 1 foot driver, right? But being able to use both feet was cool. The hardest part of getting used to it was that in the dunes, especially where you're always kind of bracing yourself.
Yeah.
You know, with your left foot on
especially
that,
the side by side.
Yeah, on the dead pedal, not having that there was a little different. I know somebody had commented earlier about the rock crawling with it.
I saw that one. Yeah.
I'm probably not the right guy to ask that question, because I've done about 0 rock crawling in my life, which is something that I need to change. Right, need to get out to Moab and do some more of that stuff.
Yep.
But I say that every year, and then we never actually get to go. But so I'm probably not the right guy to ask. A guy like John Crawley from UTV Guide, he would know better that than me. I don't know that he's done any reviews or testing on the RS1 yet, other than when he drove ours out at Glamis. So, but I would imagine it's probably do pretty well. Again, because you can see the.
That's what I was going to say. You got
so
full
for that
visibility.
tight kind of placement, you can really kind of figure out exactly how you wanted it. So
yeah,
and it's the same drivetrain as the new Turbo S. So the front diff is completely different, rubber mounted like the new Turbo S is. Certainly more capable than the older one, so probably do pretty good.
So it will crawl pretty good then.
Yeah.
It should crawl pretty good.
And Ryan, our sales guy Ryan, he took it to the Razor Forms ride and did some of that stuff, and he said that it was really fun. So I would say it'll do pretty well. So overall, what else we got here?
Best family UTV, wait for Turbo S4. Oh, the Turbo S in a 4-seater. And that's the next question too. Any idea when a Turbo S 4-seater is coming out?
Here on the West Coast, the dune season especially is pretty much over.
Yeah.
Right? It's starting to get hot out in the dunes, so not too many more trips. So if you don't already have a car, I would definitely wait until later on in the year. I mean, what do you got to lose? For next season. If I was a betting man, I would say we'll probably see, if we're going to see a 4-seat Turbo S, we would probably see it sometime June, July-ish, right?
Yeah.
That's typically when they release new models.
Yeah.
Polaris isn't having a dealer show like they traditionally do this year, so they could kind of come at any time if they're going to do
I've kind of noticed, like, all of a sudden the RS1 shows up and the Turbo S shows up. Like, they're just kind of, they release them when they want now instead of waiting for this dealer show and then hitting everyone with all these things.
Sure.
And so.
Well, I mean, you mentioned elephants in the room with the RS1. The big elephant in the room is that we all know that Polaris has been, challenged with the recalls and all these other things. And, the thing I like about Polaris is that they know that, right? They're doing something about it, right? So I think the reason you're not seeing these huge product changes from Polaris is that they want to just kind of step back and say, okay, right, let's fix the issues that we have.
Yeah.
Let's make this right. Let's do what we can here, and then start moving forward again. And so I think that they're at that point where it's like, okay, let's start moving forward again. And the Turbo S is the first salvo, the first shot across the bow, if you will, of what's to come.
So when the Turbo S came out, what I kind of thought was when the Dynamics came out, there wasn't a lot of people said, oh, it's cool, but it didn't create a ton of buzz.
Right.
And what I felt like with the Turbo S was they took the Dynamics and they're like, all right, well, we gave you the Dynamics. You guys weren't that excited about it. Now we're going to give you this.
Sure.
And this is better than the Dynamics. So it was almost like the regular Dynamics was almost like a stepping stone.
Yeah, the Turbo S is really what the Dynamics should have been.
Exactly.
When we were at the dealer show in July in Vegas, and the overall consensus in the room was that's it, right? That's the Dynamics. That's all we're gonna get is some fancy shocks. And so I think the Turbo S is what people were hoping the Dynamics was going to be. Now the Dynamics is especially for like the regular guy, right? Like the guy that just wants to go buy a RZR, take it out, and drive it. The dynamics is pretty awesome, right? The 3 ride modes, and I'm not trying to like, upsell Polaris here. It's more of just, it works, you know? And really my first experience with driving a dynamics car was, Joey D's out in Glamis, but it had, our arms on it, had a full redo by Shock Therapy, so it was kind of unfair, right?
Yeah.
But when we did the Turbo S, and we got to play with the dynamics, it actually works as advertised. You put it in comfort mode, and you can feel it just kind of smooth out, right? You put it in sport, right, and you can feel it stiffen up, right, the faster you go. And then you put it in firm, and the thing will knock your teeth out. So, it works. And again, for that guy that, he doesn't know which way to adjust his shocks. He doesn't know, all these things.
I don't,
Right? The dynamics is a very simplified way to tune your car to your driving style. Because like there was guys on that ride, and I tried it too, where we went through certain sections. I liked it in sport, they liked it in comfort.
Yeah.
One guy, he was crazy. I don't think that guy ever let off the throttle. He liked it better in firm, right? So it's
driving habits. If you charge stuff, you're gonna want probably stiffer suspension.
Exactly.
So you're not bottoming out everywhere. You don't have a ton of body roll, and so it's all driving style. And having a shot guy on the show in the past, I kind of understood that more.
Right.
I understood how bad my sand car rides.
Right. Well, and that shock stuff, it's like, that's like magic.
Yeah.
Some of the things that those guys can do, like especially Shock Therapy, they get out there and start messing with, washers that are...
It is 100% black magic.
Yeah,
dude.
almost too thin to see, and like, oh yeah, just needs one more of these. And it's like, oh, okay. Right. So what's this one?
Okay, so we're going to go back to... Giovanni Sosa says, are the cages the same on the Turbo S and the regular RZR?
Yes and no. All the mounting points are the same. They added that weird rear tube that goes into the bed, which literally goes into a metal bracket that bolts into the plastic with a little tab underneath it. So not really sure what that was for. But all the rest of the main points are the same. The biggest difference is the dash bar. So if you have a car... an existing RZR and you're wanting to take the cage off of that and put it onto a Turbo S, you need about 2.5 inches of clearance from the top of your existing dash to where that dash bar would be for it to fit. So on ours, we had to change it. So we had to raise it up 2.5 inches. So, so other than that, it bolts on. The doors fit, wheels and tires fit, and bumpers different, grills different.
Yeah. Seats
are the same. So a lot of things transfer over. So it's the exact same engine. They did change the clutch, so the clutching's different. They made a lot of changes in the clutch, actually. I think they finally got their CVT worked out, right? I think this will be like the first RZR.
If you can work out a CVT, that's the thing.
I think this will be the first RZR clutch where you don't need to bring like 4 spare belts with you for a weekend.
UTVbelts.com, sorry buddy, we're going to put you out of business.
But overall, most of the parts will fit.
So someone said something about a background. So I think when we get to the end of this thing, we'll give you a quick little tour if Tim's okay with it, of just kind of around the shop.
Sure.
We can't do any of the top secret stuff. Tim's got all sorts of top secret proprietary government stuff here, but. We'll give you a quick tour. We did it we're in Tim's office right now, and we did it in here because it's quiet in here. So.
Right.
This has been asked before. Your preference, X3 or RZR S. Your personal machine right now is a badass X3.
Right.
What will be your next machine?
I'm kind of on the fence, like a lot of you guys. I'm waiting to see what comes out. I'm waiting to see the Wildcat. Right.
Well, that's my next question.
Yeah, like what's that thing really about? I've talked to some people that have driven it. Everybody that I've talked to that's actually driven behind the wheel of it says it's amazing. Right. I'm still kind of waiting to see one. We should hopefully see one here pretty soon. And then what's Honda going to do? We've been hearing rumors that Honda's going to be coming out with a new car for years and years and years and years. What are they going to do? Are we going to see a 4-seat Yamaha? It's pretty cool that there's so much stuff that we're going to see in the next year.
Yeah.
Right. The question is just, how do you determine which one you're going to get? If I was going to go buy a new car today, right, it would be close between the Can-Am and the RZR. So there's two things that really have always kind of bugged me about the X3. The first one is I feel like you sit too low in the car,
which is said by so many people. Yeah.
Especially for dunes and rock crawling. You know, like hauling butt across the desert where everything's pretty wide open. You're following kind of a dedicated road.
Yeah.
Who cares, right? You don't need to have a whole lot of visibility. But in the dunes and I would imagine rock crawling, right? You want that visibility. You need that visibility. So the Polaris is better, I think, in that regard. The other thing about the Can-Am that's always bugged me is the front suspension, right? Just the way they did that whole system up front just doesn't make any sense. I mean, from a production standpoint, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? How everything kind of stacks onto the front of it as it's coming down the assembly line. From a strength standpoint, I can't imagine someone sitting there saying, "This is fine," right? and still to this day, kind of passes it off as, "Oh no, that's not an issue at all." And it's like, okay, well, what about this like pile of bent lower arms that I have over here? So, those are probably the two things about the X3 that kind of bug me. So, but I don't know,
So from like me, we're like, I'm not going anywhere without my family, The X3, so my daughter rode in the front seat of an X3 when we went to the dunes a month ago. And she rode in the front seat, had her helmet on, and where her visor sat, and if she turned her head, she could not see out.
Right.
And my daughter, she's 6 going on 7, and she's tall.
Right.
And, I asked her, I said, did you like riding that? She's like, I liked it, but I couldn't see.
Right.
And, this car had doors on it and a cage and,
sure.
For me, that was like, okay, well, as much as I'd love to have an X3, like, I couldn't get away with that because my kids like to be out there. My kids like to see. They like to, hey, look at that,
A lot of kids will get sick. They'll get car sick if they can't see out of the car.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. And there's ways around. I mean, you can put them in a booster seat.
Yeah.
To get them propped up a little bit, which I would suggest anyway.
Yeah.
Right. Because you want to get them up a little higher so the belts are more appropriate for where their shoulders are. Yeah, and that's, like I said, the X3, that's always been an issue. Whereas on the Razor, you sit up a little higher, you have a little bit better visibility and then everybody talks about center of gravity, right? But just because you sit lower in the car doesn't mean that the center of gravity is lower, right? The center of gravity on both cars is actually pretty close to the same. Maybe a little bit higher on the Razor, but not much, right? So, but again, to answer the question, if I was going to buy a new car today, would I go buy a new Turbo S or an X3? Probably a Turbo S, just because it's new. And I like new stuff. So, and my last car was an X3, so,
Well, your last car, let's get into that. Mm-hmm. Your last car is still sitting right here out the window.
Still for sale.
Still for sale.
So
Rosa, is that her name?
So, Andy, if you're listening to this, I know you want it. So let's make it happen. So, I mean, that's, we talked about this on the other show. Of all of the builds that we've done, that car is probably one of the funnest builds, probably in a lot of ways, just because it's the first one that I've kept.
Yeah.
Right? Usually when we build these cool projects, they're sold before I really even get a chance to take them out and have fun with them. So this one was like, nope, I'm keeping this one. And it was hard because we had some people that wanted to buy it at the Sandsport show. Yeah. And so it was like, all right, well, let's just put a stupid number on it. So at least if somebody does buy it, it's going to be it's going to be worth it. And then so we kept it through the season. And actually, my plan was to take it apart and redo the whole car. Repaint it a different color, redo the seats, redo the whole thing. And if we don't sell it, we may still do that. So. Because
it's a beautiful car.
Yeah, I
definitely still a showstopper.
Thank you. So it's a fun car. I mean, and I'm not trying to sell it, but it's we kind of try to touch on every aspect with the car. It's got the suspension dialed, it's got the performance dialed with all the Evo stuff. It's got the looks down pat. But it's a very functional car, not just a show car.
One thing I noticed about the if you don't know, we're talking about the red X3. Tim had it at the Sandsport Super Show. One thing I noticed about it is it looks heavy. Now I know it's not. I know it's dialed. I know it works well, but it just the way that big body that I love, it makes it look heavy.
Yeah, and I haven't put it on a scale. which we should do that, because I'd like to know exactly what the weight difference is. Stock to one that's modified, similar but without the body kit. I wouldn't imagine it's very much more. The body's not super heavy.
Yeah.
It's fiberglass, so it's a little bit heavier than the plastic, but it's pretty thin. It's carbon fiber in a couple spots, so having had the body off and holding it, it's big and kind of gnarly to hold, but it's not super heavy. So I would be surprised if we were 100 pounds heavier than the regular build.
Which there's guys that add 100 pounds worth of speakers to a car, or 200, 300 pounds.
I had 100 pounds just getting in the car, right? So I'm not too worried about all that, right? So, if I wanted to lose like 100 pounds in the car, I just need to stop eating so much. Really. That boils down to, right? So.
Carlos, they need to come out to Darren's Dune Run next year. Yeah, let's get a bunch of people at the Darren's Dune Run. It's a pretty cool thing they do at Gordon's. Tim yelled at us for opening the door. I felt bad at Sandsport.
Yeah,
Tim gets angry sometimes.
No, it was because, and this is honest, full disclosure here. The doors were not dialed in, right? They were not. Oh,
gotcha.
Like, we literally put that car together the day before the Sandsport show, so it was what it was. And the doors were too long when they made them in the molds, right? And we knew it, right? Like, as soon as we put them on, we knew, like, oh crap, what are we gonna do? So the doors were about 1/4 of an inch too long. So we were trying to kind of hide it a little bit and make it look like it wasn't completely screwed up. And now come on over. You can open the doors all day long if you want now. But back then, the more they were opened and closed, the more hammered the body got.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to have to repaint the body from the doors closed. We knew we were going to have to redo the doors themselves, but the front fenders we didn't want to have to redo. We ended up having to repaint them anyway, but but yeah, that was the deal. So sorry if I jumped on you there. We were trying to keep our little secrets at the Sandsport show with that one.
Dave Karbginski just jumped on. He does Glamis AXA, and he does the rentals out in Glamis.
Yeah.
So did a show with him a few weeks ago. Let's talk about what builds you got going on right now in the shop. Anything special? Anything?
We got
coming out.
Yeah, we've got a couple cars that I would consider special builds. One of them is for a really good customer over in Qatar. So if you're listening, Khalifa, thank you for your patience. This one's been taking a little while, but it's going to be pretty awesome when it's done. We're calling it the GT Razor. We've posted a few little hints of it here and there, but for the most part, we've kept it under wraps. But that one's going to be really cool when it's all done. So that's one.
I just saw that one. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one we won't be taking pictures of.
Okay, we won't go out there.
So, but we've got that one, and then we've got another car that we're finishing up for a guy. His name's Earl. He's been building this car for since 2015 is when he first started on the build. It was actually at another shop. They got most of the heavy lifting done. He took it over and got some aluminum work done by Jason over at Next Level. Not a little, a lot of aluminum work done. And it just came back from paint, so we're going to be doing all the final assembly on that one.
I'm excited. You guys are going to love that one when it comes out. It's pretty cool.
That one's pretty over the top. So his benchmark, which is interestingly enough, even though the car started at another builder, his benchmark was Christine, right, as kind of the car that he wanted to try and top. So it's pretty cool that it's back here, for the kind of the finishing touches, so we can be a part of it, which is pretty cool. And in certain areas, right, it's definitely blows away what we were doing with that car. Yeah. So it should be pretty cool. So that one is already painted, and probably see that one within the next 30 days or so.
Cool.
So stay tuned on our Instagram and our Facebook for that.
Joey D said, "Don't say it, Tim."
Hey, you know what, Joey? Why don't you just come over here and get on the show yourself, pal? Right? So, but while we're talking about Joey D, make sure to go to utvunderground.com for all the specs on all the latest cars, and also get out to the UTV World Championships.
Well, that's our next thing, UTV World Championships. Joey, you popped on at the right time.
Right.
Are you going, and is the UTV World a big event for you?
Well, yes and no, right? It's a big event for us because obviously, UTV Underground's been a big part of our growth and our success. So we're always backing whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
Right? But as a business, we've never really gotten into the racing part of it, right? And it's not because, really, it's just because we haven't found our niche there, right? We're so busy building cars for guys that are going to the dunes or going to the trails or going here and there that, we've just never had time, right, to sit down and say, okay, should we go racing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I grew up going to Glamis my whole life, right? So, I've never been much of a race guy. So, but we know that we should be out there. We want to be out there. And, I'm an enthusiast at the end of the day. So, I go to the Mint 400 and I'm walking through contingency and I'm like, dude, we have to do this. This is so cool. You see like S3's car, the Lone Star cars, all of those things. And you're just like, man, this is some pretty cool equipment. It's crazy how far our sport has evolved in such a short time. So we want to get in there and mix it up, but it's just a matter, I guess, of finding the right partners to do that with. So
well, and you're like me, one of the biggest things with me is, and I've said this on the show a million times, I'm not competitive. Right. I don't care.
Right.
And so I've always thought, I love the look of a race car. I love especially the ones like Dustin's, the S3 car. It's stretched out and long and wide.
Yeah.
But then I'm kind of like, I see Delilah or Christine, I'm like, that's more me. Like, I want to get in that thing. I want it to look pretty. I want people to notice it. I want to bump the stereo.
Sure.
And so it's different strokes for different folks.
Right.
And
yeah, it's the same for me. I grew up going to the dunes during the winter and car shows in the summer. Yeah. Right? So, when I was a teenager, I was super into mini trucks and the whole car scene and things like that. So, that's kind of carried over. And, we get hammered a lot of times by, we're the cake decorators or, whatever else. And, hey, that's cool. I get it. And I don't really have a problem with that label sometimes, But at the same time, if we're cake decorators, I think we're one of the best fucking cake decorators out there.
I think you guys are the cake decorator.
Pardon my French, right? But so at least we own it and we mash it. But I would really like to build something that we could go racing with, and so stay tuned.
Well, so this is I don't know much why Joey says our cakes taste the best though.
That's right. That's right.
I don't know why Joey doesn't race. I know he owns the events,
I don't think Joey has time to race.
Well,
right?
that too.
You know what I mean?
It'd be really cool, though, to see an SDR UTV Underground race car. Joey, there you go.
Right?
So, Rusty Baptist says, I love cake. So, me too, buddy. I like turtles, too.
Yes. Me and Rusty both love cake. You can tell just by looking at us. You don't even have to ask, right? So, but yeah, I again, if the right opportunity presented itself, it would be cool to go racing, right? We've got some stuff that we're working on that definitely takes us out of our comfort zone, that we need to do that type of testing with those products, right? To make sure that they're up to the spec and standard that we want them to be. So you never know, right?
Yep. Cakes and donuts. Okay, we're going to quit talking about food now because I'm hungry. Yeah, I think Tim's constantly on a diet.
No.
No? Okay, well, I'm hungry. Maybe we'll take a break and we'll go get some cakes and donuts. Yes. So this is something, this last is kind of the last real question I have. So a few months ago, Tim and his wonderful wife were out at Glamis, and he posted something on the MFCEO project, Andy Frisella. And actually, Todd Bushell, who just got on, he listens. I know he follows as well. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk with you a little about, your biggest takeaways from Andy Frisella. You got me hooked on it. Mm-hmm. I don't follow it as much as you do. Right. We kind of talked about this earlier. Tim's got a longer commute to work. He kind of has more of that time. But I want to talk about Andy Frisella, the MFCO podcast, and also how you stay motivated in a world that's constantly spinning and going upside down.
Well, it's hard to say Andy's program, the MFCEO project, if you don't know what it is, you really should check it out. It's not just for business owners. It's not just for people who want to be rich, crazy people. It's for people who just want to be better, and it's for people who want to improve the way that they do what they do, right? Whether it's walking across the street, right, or running a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
It's a pretty simple message. It's a pretty straightforward message. It's certainly not for everybody. And, I would never even think that I would be, an advocate or a spokesperson for Andy, right? But any opportunity that I can get to spread the message, I'm going to take it. So if you haven't, check it out. MFCEO Project podcast. What it's done for me is really just kind of, and it's almost eerie sometimes. Like, I'll be really struggling with something that's business related, like, how do you deal with this, or how do you do that, or how do people overcome this obstacle, or I'll say something to an employee and it's like, man, such an idiot, that really wasn't the right thing to say, and it happens all the time where Andy will come out with one of his quick fires or a podcast or even just a post on Instagram that is almost like he heard me say it. Right, and he's going on there and saying, "Look, you have to do these things this way."
Yeah,
and it resets your perspective. So for me, it's been a huge, tool really, and just how to take our business serious, how to change our mental game to where we're not a shop, right? Like, we do shop things here. Yeah. We build stuff, we build cars, so we do shop things, but at the end of the day, we're a business. I have 18 lives that I am responsible for making sure they can pay their rent, they can pay their bills, they put food on their table, and that's a big responsibility that I don't take lightly. And Andy Frisella and the MFCEO Project has just helped me kind of sort through the bullshit of it, if you will, right? Mm-hmm. And get down to the stuff that really matters. I mean, you've listened, so again, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. I listen to it on my way to work, right, or on my way back, and it's helped a lot. And
when I first kind of realized, or when I first kind of discovered it because of you and your wife, I listened to it and I sent it to my dad, and after I finished listening to it, I'm like, holy shit, like, what was that? Like, I was all pumped up. But it's the easiest way I can describe it is, it's not more about building your business as it's about building your empire, and your empire being not just SDR Motorsports, how you can be a better husband, how you can be and he uses business examples to help you accomplish that, Yeah. And so when I started doing it, I thought, I don't know how I can benefit this. And then I talked about the critical tasks thing. Okay, well, some of my critical tasks are related to the Dirty Dooner show, right? But some of them are related to, okay, how can I be a better dad to my kids? Yeah. Or how can I have this house that, I'm frustrated with how my house is on the inside and outside. Right. Okay, got to make that one of my critical tasks because that's something I need to be doing every day. Right. And so it brought out kind of a different side of me, and it's raw, and it's at times raunchy. Right. I don't know if raunchy is the right word, but crude, I don't know. Right. So, and I know you're kind of an avid follower and an avid supporter and spokesperson. I think we're all spokesperson. I think that's how Andy wants it. So
yeah. Well, I mean, and again, I mean, the best advice I could give someone is just go listen to it. Yeah. And do me a favor, go on to whatever his last post was on Instagram and post on there. SDR Motorsports sent me here, right? 100 to 0. Take 20 minutes, listen to one of his podcasts. If you agree with this message, you'll be hooked. It'll help you. If you don't agree, there's plenty of other stuff out there to take up your time, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
But again, the CEO part of it is not about running a company necessarily. It's about taking charge of your life as your own CEO. So it's it's cool. I mean, it kind of like Andy will say that he's not a motivational speaker, right? He's just telling you what's up, right? What you do with it is what you do with it. So anyway. Enough probably about that, but
no, that was good.
MFCEO Project, check it out. You definitely, it'll do good. So let's talk about side-by-side stuff.
Well, what do you want to talk about now? So I don't know if we've had any questions, but cakes and donuts, hungry. Joey and Tim in a car. I love cake. Our cakes taste the best, though.
Can you imagine me and Joey co-driving? Right? Like, I don't know if we would need like a wider razor, I think, right? So, and then who would drive? Like, you know, I think there would be like a brawl in the pits every time.
Yeah.
It's like I would want to drive, he would want to drive.
Or you'd be like, hey,
right?
dude, you suck. Get out in the middle of the race course.
And then if Rusty gets involved, we're definitely screwed, right? You know what I mean?
Joey said like, so fast.
There's only 2 people, right? So, you know, now we have 3.
This is what I could see. I could see a SDR Motorsports UTV Underground car, 3-seater. So you and Joey are sitting next to each other, and then Rusty, side by side. Rusty's sitting up like this, kind of on top of the motor, just like every once in a while, poking his head down to make sure that you guys are still on track.
With the gunner on the top?
Oh, dude, even better. Put his head through the top. Yeah, build a little exo cage for him out of the top.
So I don't think that's going to happen.
Joey says, not you, bro. I'm driving for sure.
Yeah, exactly. See, so already right there, it's over. So 2 RS1s, right? Problem solved.
There you go.
Right? We'll be the best in the desert RS1 team. Right? Problem solved. Right? We don't need co-drivers anymore. So, but anyway, coming in hot, have the cake ready. We'll trust me, man. We got plenty of ovens over here.
It'll be cake in the pits.
Yeah, we will make as much cake as required, right? So, and we got lots of toppings, so you can have it any way you want, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So, a couple things since we talked, right? We're getting ready to revamp the whole shop.
Yep.
Again, right? We got a new piece of equipment coming in that we're super excited about. We're gonna bring our tube plasma cutting in-house. Most of it, we're still going to be doing some CNC bending stuff outside, but we just purchased a Bendtech A400 tube plasma, so we're super excited about that getting here. Be here in about 2 weeks, and that'll give us a lot more freedom to be able to hopefully respond faster and bring the lead times down. So, you know, we're getting closer to our goal of cages in stock. So.
Now, I did a walkthrough with Tim before we started this of their shop.
Mm-hmm.
I've kind of been hanging out here for a few hours, and if you ever questioned, which I don't think if you're listening, if you ever questioned if SDR is the real deal, they're the real deal.
Right.
He ran me through their cage building process. He ran me through their prototype stuff. He ran me through the making of their doors. Showed me how they make their doors. I mean, it's all very cool stuff. Yeah. And dude, you're just going up.
We're trying, you know, and every day I think we get better as a business.
Mm-hmm.
Every day we figure out more how to do things. And, you know, it's funny because I see on Instagram all the time, you know, people with their catchy little hashtags about, you know, quality over quantity. And it's like, you know, that is like the lamest excuse I've ever heard in my life, right? Quality over quantity only means that you don't know how to build enough stuff, right? You know, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Honda... right, is doing a little bit more quantity in quality, right? So that's kind of our thing, is that we want to build the highest quality part we can in enough quantity for our customers to get what they want. And that's today, with technology of today and manufacturing capability. Look, I would put our TIG weld guys up against just about anybody. I would put our MIG weld guys up against just about anybody. So I think that you know, that's what we're really focused on trying to do, is have a product that has the quality that you want, right? But it's priced competitively, right? And it's available.
Yeah.
You know, so because at the end of the day, that's really what it's about. You know, we want our stuff on as many cars as we can get it on. You know. So
now, can you talk about any of the other like new products you have coming out? I know before you talked about the spare tire carrier,
right.
that
yeah,
with the pre-orders and stuff like that.
Yeah, the spare tire carrier, that's coming in hot for sure. We've been working on that for quite some time. Going out, beating the crap out of it, taking it apart, changing it, getting it to where we're happy with the final design and function of it. And that's kind of, you know, you're going to see a lot of new stuff coming now that we've got our R&D department kind of up and running. Jordan, Cal Dirty Boy, he's been killing it on SolidWorks. Been doing a good job, you know, just getting everything going.
Yeah. So
we've got our new gusset kits out, new X3 front bumpers. We've got some soft goods stuff coming out. We've got a new door bag for the RS1. That's super clean. We did some little dash pockets that are zippered, so you can put stuff in the dash.
That's cool.
So yeah, lots of new stuff coming out, and we're excited about it. We've got you know, a couple projects coming up that. You know, you guys probably won't see it till Sandsport Show next year, but those are going to be some pretty cool products, I should say.
They are. I'm excited for that one.
So, and let us know, like, what are we not making? What do you want to see? One of the things we were talking about was there was a car that Triple Threat Off-Road did that was out at the Mud Nationals, and it had our cage and doors and front bumper on it. You don't typically see our stuff with that kind of mudder style with the big lifts and the huge wheels and skinny tires, but it looked cool, right? Yeah. And we embrace that. We want to be part of that culture. I mean, that's that the mudder guys are just going off, and some of the builds that they do are way over the top with the detail and attention that they're doing with those things. So we're excited to see our product on that stuff, not just the dune desert kind of guys. So
and that's your roots, and it's sometimes it's hard to get away from that type of stuff, but one thing I've realized, especially about like the side-by-side and the UTV stuff, is how far it's branching out, where the people are taking them to Moab, people are taking them to the dunes, people are taking them, to the Mud Nationals, stuff like that.
And where you live, they're taking them to freaking McDonald's, right? Like,
dude, everywhere in Arizona. If you live in Arizona, you understand, you're going to see side-by-sides. I got guys that I work with that drive them to work every day. That's their daily driver.
That's awesome. So next year, we should do the Dirty Dooner show from the Mud Nationals.
Okay, I'm down.
What do you say?
Yeah. Go to the Mud Nationals.
Mud Nationals. So, rednecks with paychecks, right?
Well, you got anything else you want to talk about? Or I got a few quick and dirty questions for Tim. Let's body drop a general. That'd be cool, though.
You get the general over here, we'll body drop it. Right? So,
Dragon Plastic.
Yeah, Dragon Plastics. So, what does that say?
Do you guys make stock length box A-arms?
No, we don't. And that's not in the plan anywhere to do a stock kit. If you're looking for a boxed stock replacement kit, HCR is what we promote. That's what we would sell. That's really good stuff. And they have OEM kits for all of them. X3, they have them for the X3 72 and DS. They have them for the Razor. The RS1 I think is coming up. They're going to do a stock width kit plus an upgrade. So keep an eye out for that stuff.
Yeah, if you guys got any other questions, while I'm going to ask them a few of these quick and dirty questions. We'll do a walk around. If you guys have any other questions while we're kind of doing that, throw them up on the screen, and we'll answer them before we end this thing. I think we're about 50. We'll try to answer them. We're about 50 minutes here, so we're going to wrap this thing up in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So, all right. The first question I have for Tim. So, do you ever send cash in the mail? And if you do you write that there is cocaine in it?
I've only done that once, and I wouldn't recommend it. So, from what I understand, that has actually never made it to its destination, even to this day.
No.
Right? So, to tell the backstory, I wanted some shirts. I refused to let him give them to me. I told him I was going to pay for them. He was sending me the shirts and said, wait till you see the package. So I figured, hey, let's do battle here. So I put on the envelope, I said, there are no drugs in this envelope. Right? And that envelope has yet to show up anywhere. So maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Right? So.
And for some reason, when I called Tim to make sure he got the shirts, he couldn't believe that the envelope never got there.
I didn't think it was really that big of a deal, right? But apparently the post office thinks otherwise. So, all right, Nick. We'll see you later.
All right, buddy.
Thanks for tuning in.
Nick runs the page, Desert Whips. Thanks for tuning in, Nick.
So that's that. So
So don't write that there's drugs or there's not drugs in an envelope. Probably just don't write drugs on anything. So.
Right. Yeah.
It's like saying bomb on a plane. Yeah, I don't think you can do it.
That's not good. So.
What's your guilty pleasure?
It changes, right? Right now, my guilty pleasure is my new car.
I was gonna say,
right?
That's why I threw that question in there.
Yeah, that is my guilty pleasure, and I enjoyed that guilty pleasure all weekend, by the way. So, for those of you that don't know, I just picked up a new 2018 Audi Rs5, and it is flat out amazing, right? So, I've been wanting an Audi RS car, forever, right? The guys that don't know, before I started doing UTV stuff, I was in the automotive aftermarket for my whole life, since I was 18 years old all the way up until I started SDR. So cars have kind of always been my thing, and I've always wanted an RS, and finally got the chance to come up on one, and it's awesome. So it's super fast. So I'm hoping that, you know, over the next 3 years we don't get too many tickets in it. So, but which leads to your next question.
Okay, so this is when I was thinking of these questions last night.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but Cars, the movie,
Yeah.
and Planes, the movie, popped into my head.
Okay.
Like the Disney movie.
Right.
So, if you could be any car or truck, what would it be?
If I could be any car,
Yeah,
truck?
yeah. You're straight up out of the movie Cars. You got the eyes, whatever. You know.
I would say that I would want to be. I would want to be like the raddest chick car ever. Right? Like, you know what I mean with that, right?
What are we talking here? Like a Mazda Miata?
I don't
or
know, just whatever kind of car that super hot chicks would want to own, right? That
Okay.
would be me, right? Because they would ride around to me all day, every day. No? So, no, seriously though, dream car, still Ferrari 488.
Okay.
And coffee, Corona, down at Pro Circuit. It's every Saturday. And we went down there and some dude rolled up in a brand new 488 Spider. It was like, oh my goodness, you know. I mean, here I am in my brand new RS feeling like I'm a baller, right? And this guy rolls in this thing and it's like, all right, so that's like 7 of my car, right? So, yeah, 488 for sure.
So, this is the last question, then we'll do a little walk around. Clint Ellsworth says a Fiat. Who's your pick to win UTV Worlds in UTV Turbo?
So, other than the fact that I'm not really sure who's who, right? I would have to say it's gonna be, JR always, right? I mean, it's hard to go wrong with him. But
I think Joey's gonna win.
well, Joey's not racing, so
Exactly.
he's a winner. Right? He's a winner.
He's going to win because it's his event.
Yeah, exactly. But that's Robbie Gordon. That's how Robbie Gordon wins stuff, right? Is by making his own events. But that's another story. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure Seth Quintero is going to crush it in his class, right? I'm a big fan of his. The S3 boys are going to be there. I mean,
That class
everybody's
is so
there.
stacked.
Yeah, like
That's
who's
awesome.
not at the World Championships? So, they should be good. That's the thing about it. And we're planning on being out there. So, as a spectator, just kind of hanging out and having fun. So,
Yep.
we're gonna try and hit up the poker rally a couple days before. I think it's on Thursday. So we're gonna try and hit that. Are you going out?
I should be out there. Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to get my
Backseat driver right here.
Yeah, no.
That's what he's going to be for the rally. Backseat driver. So, we're going to try and come out there. We're going to bring the RS1, right? Take that out there. We're going to bring the new Turbo S that we're doing for UTV Underground. Should make its debut out there.
Cool.
We got some new stuff on that. It's going to be pretty cool. I would say, Jagged X. All the big players aren't going to be out there, and to be honest with you, I don't really know who a whole lot of them are. So I should probably follow that a little closer.
Well, Joey, we're excited for UTV Worlds.
Yeah.
Don't know how long. I don't know what day I'm going. Trying to get my wife to go with me to this one. So
Yeah.
maybe just Friday and Saturday for us. But we're excited to get out there. We're excited for the event. I think either Joey's going to win or Ricky Bobby's going to win.
Bobby?
Tim thinks, Guthrie. Rusty said Guthrie's. Can't forget about the Guthries. So
Yeah. Yep.
let's do you want to do a walk around and then finish this thing out?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You guys, we're going to swap this thing around. We're going to do a quick tour of SDR.
Just before 5 o'clock, so it's gonna be kind of crowded because everybody's they're pulling all the cars in for the night, but we can check it out. So this is the shop here, right? That over here is the shipping and receiving area. That's where everything gets shipped out. And we usually ship about 4 or 5 cases a day, so those guys stay pretty busy. You can see a couple out there getting ready to go. Over here, this is the R&D area. Working on some new stuff over here.